everyone, and welcome to another episode of Building Better Business, a practice management web series brought to you by FSOMA, the Florida State Oriental Medical Association. My name is Natalia Morrison. I am the executive assistant for FSOMA and also a licensed acupuncturist here in Florida. And tonight I'm super excited to bring you Jeffrey Grossman, founder and creator of Acupuncture Media Works. And tonight's topic is how to create an easy social media marketing strategy. Now, the great thing about social media marketing is that it's free. There are some ways that you can pay for it if you want to, but it's the same thing as word of mouth with really pretty images and great content and writing. And it's really great way to connect with your friends and family and have them also share your passion with their friends and family. So before Jeffrey comes on to do his presentation for tonight, I just wanted to go over some housekeeping with you. So as you can see on the bottom of your screen, whether you are on a phone or your laptop, there's a little icon with 3 little dots that says chat. If you have any questions whatsoever during tonight's presentation, you can go ahead and click that little icon and write your comment, your questions, your feedback. You can also share with us your experience. Throughout the presentation, I'll be monitoring. We will try and keep the questions towards the end of the presentation so that Jeffrey has time to make sure that he answers your questions and your concerns and to talk to you about whatever you wanted to talk about. So without further ado, here we have Jeffrey Grossman.
Thank you again, Natalia and FSOMA, for inviting me for these practice building webinars. I think they're super helpful for the business of acupuncture these days. And I am really grateful that you guys have reached out to me over the past bunch of months and invited me on board. And the fact that you're actually doing these in general is really great for the profession and your membership. So thank you for making that happen.
Thank you.
Yeah. So a couple things. Tonight I'm going to go through a bunch of information with you. So it would be great if you can close any other tabs, mute your phone, and just pay attention to what we'll be talking about today. Today we're going to talk about how to create an easy social media marketing strategy for your acupuncture practice. And this is really important because 81% of Americans are on social media these days. And you're probably on it a lot too. And even these days, your Apple iPhone tells you how much screen time you're actually participating in and how much you're actually being on social media channels. So it's really a big piece of today's life for most people. And it's one of those things that as an acupuncturist and being in private practice, being an entrepreneur, being a business person, that you really can't avoid. And you should be putting energy and time into making this happen. I understand that many of you really don't want to do this because, you just want to treat people. That's what you were trained to do, is to provide needles and herbs and moxa and cupping and all that beautiful stuff to help change lives. Last thing you want to do is to actually get online and create social media graphics and post them and comment and all that. So if that's something that you don't want to do, there's services out there for you to have that done for you. We actually are in the process of doing a beta test on a social media marketing service right now. If anyone's interested, you can feel free to reach out to me and inquire, to send me an email and ask me about that. And it's one of those things that can easily be done by a student, by other professionals, and by yourself. You don't really need a lot of time. You could manage your social media marketing within 3 to 5 hours a month. It could all be done for you. And it's really important because 81% of the Americans are on social media, but The thing is that social media is just a piece of the puzzle, right? There are all of these pieces of marketing that work together to combine this marketing momentum to grow your practice. And you have things like your website, online reviews, search engine optimization, calls to action on your website, email marketing, doing talks, networking, having business cards, health fairs, doing, asking for referrals, and even teaching. All of these are part of the bigger whole of creating this marketing momentum in your practice, and social media is just a part of it. But it's an important part because most people are on social media these days. And what I want you to do is I want you to approach marketing and like you approach your diagnosis. Make sure that your marketing is an integrated whole, that all the pieces of your marketing are working synergistically together for the entire organism of your practice, so you can be successful, so you can get out there in front of people, so you can help more people. So all of these things are all about growing your practice. All these webinars we've been putting on, all of the things that Fasoma's been bringing to you and Natalia's been helping to co-host have been all about helping you grow your practice and getting out there and create some marketing momentum. So with social media, it's a way for you to engage with existing patients, to improve patient retention. It's a way to stimulate new referrals, to position you as an expert and authority in your community, to promote brand awareness of your practice. And the biggest thing that social media allows you to do is to stay in TOMA. And TOMA stands for top of mind awareness. A lot of times when patients fall out of care, what happens is simply they just forget about you, or they get distracted in other areas of their life, and they're not aware of what you have to offer. They just fallen out of the fact that you're able to help in certain things. And staying in top of mind awareness with them by doing various things like social media or email marketing or sending out newsletters is the way to get your practice going. So let's talk about the 4 things that your clinic needs to succeed in order to implement your social media strategy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you and start diving into the PowerPoint. Again, if there are questions, we will go ahead and answer those at the end of today's. You can put those in the chat box over there. So I'm going to go share my screen. And let's go ahead and just jump right into this. So the 4 things that your clinic needs to succeed with social media strategies. The first thing that you really need to be doing is to have the right mindset. So the beginning stages of any customer journey is slow. When you meet people out in the world, when you are at a talk or a networking event, or even if people are coming in for an acupuncture happy hour event, that journey for them to become aware of you and to actually go through this process of getting to know you, to like you, and to trust you can be slow. So what you're doing with your social media and with all of your marketing is you're planting the seeds to build awareness, and you're nurturing and you're growing these relationships. Things aren't going to happen overnight. So one of the things I really want you to do, that you need to do with your social media strategies when you do them, with your networking events when you do them, with your referral programs when you do them, with any type of marketing that you do, you need to adjust your expectations and play the long game. And that means you have the right mindset that things will happen. And what you're doing now is planting the seeds for future growth. Okay. The other thing that's really important is to remain tolerant. So understand that there is always a testing mode going on, so you can determine what's working and what's not working, right? This way you can keep making the right choices moving forward. So as you put some social media images out there, check on them, test them, see what's working. Maybe your clients are responding more to research items or points or recipes. What are people commenting on? What are people sharing more? So remain tolerant, remain vigilant in what you're doing. So this moment is that you're putting things out there, that you're testing to see what works and what doesn't work. And ultimately what you're going to do is you're going to take what's worked, try it again, and add something else. So basically you're going to be A/B testing everything that you're going to be doing out there as far as social media marketing goes. The other thing is to make sure that you have a plan and to have a content strategy, a roadmap, or some type of editorial or social media calendar that can help guide you from point A to point B. And earlier, when I mentioned that it would just take you 3 to 5 hours, the idea is that, once a week, I mean, once a month on a weekend, you could sit down with a cup of tea and strategize and map out your plan for the entire month. Okay, you can even do that for multiple months in advance. But what's important is to really tap into the idea that you need to strategize and come up with a plan so you know what's going to be happening. And one of the really great things out there that we've used quite a bit with our AcuDownloads program is the National Health Observance Days. So if you don't do it now, but if you go and Google National Health Observance Days, you'll come up with lists and lists and lists of really interesting and strange and just really awkward holidays and days and weeks that are celebrated and honored, like National Pet Day, National Hug Day, or even Valentine's Day, or National shake your hands with your boss day, or whatever it is. There's a lot of them every month. There's so many things going on. There's Cancer Awareness Month. There's IBS Awareness Week. There's AOM Day in October. So when you sit down to strategize and you create your plan, bring up National Health Observance Days and look at what's coming up in the next month and the other months coming down the line. Then put together a strategy and a plan that you could be using so you can implement that moving forward. The next thing is to consider hiring a specialist, because when you hire a specialist, that's what they do. They specialize in social media marketing, and in the long run, it's going to be worth the money because you can do what you love doing the most, which is what I hope, helping people to get well and stay healthy. So the goal there would be that you stay in your wheelhouse, which is your medicine, being the acupuncturist, being the teacher, being the healer, and then you can hire somebody to be that social media strategist with you. Like I said earlier, we are launching a beta program. If anyone's interested, please reach out to me. Send me an email at jeffrey@acupuncturemediaworks.com, and we could talk about that. So there's a beta test program that we're putting out. There's also tons of other social media managers out there that can help you do that. But the beautiful thing about hiring a specialist is because they've got the design skills. They know what platforms to post on, what times to post on. They can post in multiple platforms at once that we're going to talk about a little bit later on in today's presentation. So I would encourage you, it's not as much as you think to make that happen. And I would encourage you to embrace social media marketing. And if you can't do it yourself, if you don't want to do it yourself, if you don't have the time to do it yourself, hire a specialist. And a couple things I want to review with you too today are critical social media posting ideas for acupuncturists. And these are just ideas that you can think about as you are planning your marketing calendar. So the first thing to think about is to pose a question. People enjoy talking about themselves, especially on social media. So pose a question on your Facebook page and ask patients to like it or comment or to share your post. Because you can pose a question like, how's your chi today? Or today is the first day of spring. It's when your liver becomes most active. Are you familiar with your liver and acupuncture and Chinese medicine? ? Right? So there are so many great things that you could ask questions about. Did you know that acupuncture is good for allergies? Ask me how. So that's one talking point that you'd be talking on. The other talking point could be providing a statistic. So maybe you found an interesting fact or a story or a video or some research that the average acupuncture patient might find interesting. Share that. I know that when we put out social on our social media channels, research videos and content on research, those were shared multiple times across other platforms, mainly by other acupuncturists on their websites and their Facebook pages to share with their patients. So providing a stat, some type of research is really important. And I think people really like that information because it provides more authority and it provides more reality towards the fact that this medicine is fruitful and helpful. So make sure that the post doesn't include a lot of jargon about TCM and yin yang and excess and deficiency and all of that, because you want to address where the typical person is at. So you want to talk to, like, I think it's a 5th grade or an 8th grade level or something like that, where people can really get it. Because I know when I was in practice, I would talk about yin and yang and excess and deficiency in the early years of being in practice, and I'd get this like glazed over look from my patients. I'd know what I'm talking about, that they would just nod like blindly agreeing with me. And what I started doing was really simplifying my communications to them. So when you do talk about any type of social media, especially when you talk about statistics and research, make sure that you talk more in layperson's terms. Okay. The other thing too is make sure, one of the other topics that you could be discussing is inspirational topics, and you've seen them out there all the time. There are these inspirational videos, inspirational quotes, or motivational messages, which are hot topics on social media. And it's hard to really scroll past a social quote without liking it or sharing it with friends. So inspirational messages can help build community, and they can help encourage engagement on your Facebook page. And there's a new thing that I actually just read about a couple of days ago, which is ASMR videos. I forget what the acronym stands for, but it's basically a video of somebody talking in very soft terms, and they're literally tapping on the microphone, and they're making soft sounds and weird gurgling noises and talking in this very calm, very seductive voice. And what they're doing is they're calming you down, and it's really quite interesting. So I would check that out. I don't know if you want to make any yourself or if you want to link out to other people who are doing it, but I believe it's ASMR videos, and there's a whole bunch on YouTube, and some of them are quite compelling and to watch. I noticed that I was doing the research and I would get sucked into those videos myself. So I found those to be not only inspirational, but very calming. So that's something you might want to consider doing or linking out to on your Facebook pages. The other thing is to make sure that it's visual. One of the things that we offer with our AcuDownload membership are all of these social media images here. We've got over 450 different social medias that are available for practitioners. And we have our designer. She's literally like 2-3 days a week. She is focused on creating social media images that are impactful, creative, and professional for acupuncturists. So people want to see professional social media profiles that represent the brand that they'd like to learn more about. And the brand is you and your practice. And the truth is that visual content attracts 94% more viewers than text-based content. So it's 40 times more likely to get shared on social media channels than just a bunch of text. So make sure that when you are posting, if you aren't using a service like ours or any other service, make sure that if you're creating them yourself, try to be as creative and as visual as possible. And there's a service out there called Canva. That's a really great platform that allows you to create your own social media images. And it's pretty simple to use. The main thing that you want to pay attention to is to make sure that on your social media images that there is the correct ratio of text to image based upon like Facebook's algorithms, and also make sure that the images that you are using are are able to be used for social media platforms, and they're not just grabbed from some random internet site that you don't know anything about, because you want to make sure that you are legally using all photos and images and are applying the right attribution to those. Okay. A couple other things I want to talk about are some common social media HIPAA violations and how to avoid them. This is a common concern that a lot of practitioners may have or not, but it's something to really pay attention to. The first one is make sure that posting patient images and videos without a signed consent, big no. Do not ever post anything in your clinic, especially on your social media channels, of a patient if there's no signed consent. Next thing is to make sure that you do not post any conversations that could identify a patient or a particular person. So if you happen to talk about, a patient who has back pain, don't post something on your social media channel that says, oh, I was just talking with Bob, one of my really great patients, and he has back pain, but after about 4 visits, his back pain's gone. Come see me for back pain. You don't want to do that. Even though you might be just using Bob's first name, Bob will know that it's him, and he might get offended, and he might start potentially pressing charges if he can prove that it was him that was related to, and maybe, I don't know what would happen there, but you don't want to violate any of those HIPAA laws. The next thing is to make sure that you do not post any information that could allow an individual to be identified. So, don't post anything that, when it's on there, someone could be like, oh, I know that watch or that wristband or that bracelet that that person, or that necklace that person is wearing, or that jacket that that person is wearing, that can identify that person. And the other thing to think about is sharing photographs or images taken inside the practice in which patient or public health records are visible. So don't just have some random pictures of your waiting room with a patient in the background, or with a picture of your front desk, and in the background behind your front desk staff are a bunch of clinic files that people could read the names on. You do not want to do that, because these days the images could be zoomed in on, and people could check in and see what names are on there. It's probably rare that it would really happen, but again, it could potentially be a HIPAA violation. A couple other things to consider are make sure that when you're sharing photos, videos, or text containing private health records, do not share any of those in any type of private groups. So when you are talking online in acupuncture groups and you're talking about specific cases, or you're posting a picture of a patient's tongue, unless you have their explicit consent to do that, you cannot share that information in a group, even though it's a private group, with other people. Okay, big no there. And don't announce any winners of a giveaway in a social media post that contains a patient, patient's name or any health records or reference to their health. So that's, again, if you're doing any type of giveaways online or in social media, you don't want to say that, hey, Jeffrey just won the back pain, ease away program. So thank you, Jeffrey, for winning that. Right. So now everyone knows that I won the back pain ease away program, and I have back pain, which I don't really mind, but some people might, be concerned about those kinds of things. And a final thing about HIPAA violations is, make sure that when you're responding to online reviews and comments that you don't talk about any type of patient health records or any private information. And all that makes sense, I'm sure, because you are probably watching all HIPAA guidelines and you're working by those. So those are just a couple things I just want to run by you when you're dealing with your social media channels. And the last few things I want to talk about today are 7 steps to build your social media channel. And I'm going to talk about 7 different platforms that you should be using in your practice to be building your social media strategy. The first one, obviously, is Facebook ads. So this is a really great way to fine-tune your marketing efforts, to promote your brand awareness, to drive traffic to your website, and to get more leads. And it's an inexpensive marketing tool. And the thing is, though, it's paid. So using Facebook ads is a really great way to stimulate awareness around acupuncture and your practice. But it's one of those things that it's inexpensive, but you still have to pay for it. So you have to budget for that. The other avenue that I would encourage you to look into is Instagram. People post high quality videos and photos, and these get more shares and likes than any other social media site out there. thing that you need to do is you need to be consistent, which is about 2 posts per day on Instagram, gets you, you know, all the love and all the shares that you could potentially want, and also moves you up that algorithm, which is what you want, because you want to show up on people's feed more often. And the beautiful thing about Instagram is that it's free. And a lot of people are actually using it these days. It's like Facebook and Instagram are kind of getting synonymous. And Facebook is still usually used more often, but Instagram is definitely inching into the Facebook territory. The other thing to do is Google AdWords. Google AdWords are highly effective and highly targeted. Same thing with Facebook ads. You can highly target those ads. But the thing is, you need to play by the rules whenever you're dealing with Facebook and even Google AdWords, which means when you do Google AdWords, you can't have any unsubstantiated claims, no unsubstantiated claims on other pages of your website, and you need to use a direct URL and not a redirect URL on there. And you need to make sure that if the page has a video, that it has control so people could turn it on or people could turn it off. These are all things that your social media manager would know for you, but the main thing that you need to know about is that Google AdWords is highly effective, but it's a paid service. So what you're going to do is you're going to need to budget the amount of money that you can put towards that. But it's a really great way to get your rankings up into the generic social media posts. The other thing too that I want to mention here too is to make sure that you have your Google My Business set up for your practice. Because if you would go to Google, let's say acupuncture in Seattle, you'll see a couple of ads, paid ads that show up on the top there. And then you'll see a map with a bunch of other listings on there. And the people on the maps with the other listings and the reviews are people who are set up with Google My Business. So I really encourage you to get that going. It's really not that hard to set up for your practice. The next thing to consider is to possibly do Facebook Live videos. I know there are some of you who are even doing that right now, especially in the light of what's going on with coronavirus and all of that. I've seen a few of you step up and do some really great videos on immunity and acupuncture and health and how to stay calm and how to avoid transmission of this potentially disastrous problem that's happening out there. Those of you that do like Facebook Live or do like doing videos, I really encourage you to do that, because it establishes you as the approachable go-to acupuncturist in your area. It helps people to overcome any fears and objections that they may have about the care that you potentially have to offer. You're able to be perceived as highly personable. People get to see your personality and why it is that you do what you do. And the beautiful thing about Facebook Live video is that it's free. All you really need is a really decent camera. You could pick one up like the Logitech HD 1080 on Amazon for like $50. Plug it into your computer and get a decent mic, and you're ready to go. Make sure the lighting is pretty good, and you could really get out there and do Facebook Lives really easily. And the next thing to really consider are Facebook groups. Facebook groups are creating your own Facebook group around your clinic. And in that group, it's a great networking tool. It's a great way for you to network within the group itself of your patients and other professionals. It allows you to be helpful and relevant to your audiences and whatever concerns that they may have. And it gives you the opportunity to promote your clinic events once you become known in the Facebook community, and it's also free. So Facebook groups should be set up with your practice name, and it should, you should be using it regularly, posting content and information and tips and strategies and insights and points and foods and recipes and all those beautiful things that can help encourage greater health with your clientele. And the next thing is YouTube. So YouTube is a huge opportunity, because a lot of practitioners are not really using YouTube these days because they might be really scared about getting in front of a camera and potentially seemingly looking foolish, which is not the case, because most people actually do really well in that way. But using YouTube gives you a massive search engine optimization boost with Google, because they're integrated these days. And when you have your YouTube channel set up and you are using videos on YouTube, your website gets this massive boost in the SEO juice and you show up in a better algorithm for different search engines. It allows you to really position yourself as the expert. It gives you a platform at which to preach the power of the medicine, and it is free. So I encourage you to really tap into that source. And finally, really something that a lot of practitioners really overlook is email marketing. Email marketing is really great because you could drive traffic to your website and to different social media channels. It allows patients to, come in for regular visits because you are staying in top of mind awareness with them. It stimulates reactivations because, once again, you are in top of mind awareness with them. And it allows you in general to stay in top of mind awareness with all of your patients. And it is practically free. There are some services out there that are free up to maybe 500 emails or 1,000 emails. And then after that, it's pretty nominal fee to get email marketing going. And it's a really great way to get out information to your patients. I really encourage practitioners to set up a email marketing funnel or a patient welcome series and a patient retention series, where once a patient signs up for your practice, welcome emails go out. And then after that, they get maybe weekly emails or monthly emails about topics and tips and research and recipes and all things good and great about this medicine. So email marketing is actually really great to set up, really easy to get set up, and it's a great way to stay in top of mind awareness with your patients and your potential patients. So couple tips that I want you to keep in mind is that everything that you do on social media must add value. It should be meaningful and entertaining. It needs to be visibly appealing and professional. It would be great if you could show social proof in a HIPAA compliant way. And I would really encourage you to take social media marketing seriously. And the thing that you need to do is you need to be consistent. You need to always use a call to action, which means at the end of your post, you always need to say, hey, give us a call, or comment below, or come in for your visit, or, like this post, or whatever it is. But make sure that you always have a call to action on pretty much everything you do. I think every marketing strategy in your practice needs to have a call to action as part of that. And then the final thing about this is to make sure that you create a schedule and a plan for you to outline your social media strategy so you can make that happen. So again, thank you. That's it for my presentation today. If you have any questions, you can reach me at jeffrey@acupuncturemediaworks.com. And one thing I was telling Natalia before this, so I'm just going to stop sharing my screen here and take some questions if you want. Let's see, am I back? I don't know if I'm back yet. Hello? Okay, I think I'm
Yes,
here.
you're back.
Okay, cool. So one thing that's really important is that a lot of people are freaking out about coronavirus. And we have a beautiful, we have great knowledge under our belts with supporting the immune system in Chinese medicine, and great knowledge about herbs and recipes and konjis and all those things that are really supportive. So I would encourage you to consider taking part in putting together some type of a social media plan or a strategy on how you can best support your patient's health during this stressful time. And it could be talking about stomach 36 and lung 7 and large intestine 11 and Kegel's immune point area, or specific breathing techniques, or doing a live video on different areas of of the medicine in that way. But I was telling Natalia before this that we are literally in the midst of putting together an immune enhancement social media kit that we're gonna have for free for an event this weekend that's happening with FASOMA and LASA OMS called Love Your Practice. And we're putting together like a free social media kit. And if anyone's interested in that, I think Natalia put my email address in the chat box here. Just shoot me an email and I'll get you on that list. So when that kit comes available, you can have that to help educate your patients on social media strategies and inside the clinic itself. So thanks for being there and showing up. And thanks again, Natalia, for having me.
Thank you, Jeffrey. And if you guys that are watching right now, if you have any specific questions on social media marketing, I know a couple of you I've seen and I follow you, and I've seen that you post for your clinic and on you about your medicine and what you practice. If you have any specific questions whatsoever, please let us know in the chat box. You know, Jeffrey, you said something interesting earlier that posting twice a day is recommended to stay on top of mind. Now, I personally, I run my own clinic. I don't work for someone. I only am able to post like 3 times a week, maybe. Sometimes I'm lucky if I post once a week, but for me, it's really easy to do. Like on Instagram right now, they have the Instagram story.
Yeah.
So even though it won't post on like the feed where people will, like it stays on your feed, I post on the Instagram story. And then with that, depending on how many followers you have, you can set up a call to action button. So my call to action button is my online schedule. So every time I post on the story, and it could be like a picture of me, very basic, drinking tea or out under a tree or whatever it is. I think a couple of months ago, I was out having a walk at night and I just took a picture of my bare feet on the grass and then just added the call to action button. So it could be something as simple as that. I think we as perfectionists think it's more complicated and we want it to come out completely perfect, right? And we want everyone to see it perfect and beautiful, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be that complicated, I think.
Sure. And that's the thing. I feel like there is that blockage that happens when people, you know, try to make it perfect. But there's a fine line, I think, in you know, in like off the cuff selfie action versus building a brand. So I think, you know, that's why I'm suggesting setting aside some time to kind of like monthly to kind of create that time to build that brand image. So you have that brand image out there. Plus also the get to know you selfie stuff is really important too, because then they really get to know the practitioner behind the medicine. So I definitely encourage, you know, I encourage all of it, right? Because I think it's important to you know, hit, you know, be present as the professional brand image, and then also as the real person. Here I am, I've got feet in the sand as well, kind of person.
Yeah.
So.
Creating your brand is really important. Maybe that can be another webinar that you do for us.
Sure, brand image.
How to set up and create a brand. Like the colors, the personality, the tone. What is it that what does your brand look like in visual context? I think we don't have this, we're not trained to do that. So
no, I mean, and it's something that people don't consider, but I mean, when I see companies that are branded well, even clinics, I mean, there's a lot of acupuncture clinics that are branded well. I'm like, wow, that looks really slick. You know, like it's impressive and it looks really sharp. And I definitely think that that could be really great training on brand awareness and creating a really solid brand.
Yes. Well, thank you again, Jeffrey, and thank you all of you for joining us tonight. If you have any suggestions of upcoming webinars, please let us know. At the end of our presentation tonight, when the video ends, there's going to be a survey come up. If you can take just a couple of seconds of your time, fill out that survey, that would be really great for us so that we can continue to bring forward more of these amazing webinars that you find useful. Thank you so much, and thank you, Jeffrey, for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Natalia. Really appreciate it. See you this weekend.
All right, see you this weekend. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining.